Imagine walking into your local Walmart or Target. You expect to find everything you need, from groceries to electronics, but the shelves are bare. There's no milk for your cereal, no toys for your kids, and no new TV to replace your old one. This scenario, once unthinkable, could soon become reality in America. Why? Because of a trade war with China that's spiraling out of control. The Trump administration has slapped tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, hoping to pressure China into changing its trade practices. But these tariffs are backfiring, disrupting supply chains and threatening to leave American consumers with empty shelves and higher prices. The alarm bells are ringing loud and clear. CEOs of major retailers like Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and Lowe's have met with President Trump, warning him of the dire consequences of this trade war. They're not alone in their concerns. Economists and industry experts are also predicting a bleak future if the trade war continues. This is not just about politics or economics, it's about the things we rely on every day. It's about the food we put on our tables, the clothes we wear, and the tools we use. The stakes are high, and the time to act is now. The CEOs of America's retail giants aren't known for panicking. They deal with complex supply chains and global markets every day. So when they sound the alarm, it's time to pay attention. And their message is clear: the trade war with China is a disaster waiting to happen. Doug McMillon, CEO of Walmart, the nation's largest retailer, warned that disruptions are already being felt and will worsen by summer. Brian Cornell of Target echoed these concerns, stating that tariffs will hit consumers hard. The message from Home Depot and Lowe's was the same. Tariffs mean higher prices and fewer choices for American shoppers. These CEOs aren't just looking out for their bottom line, they're worried about the millions of Americans who rely on their stores for affordable goods. They're worried about the impact on jobs and the economy. They're worried about the future of American retail. Their warnings should be a wake-up call. The trade war isn't a game, it has real-world consequences for real people. To understand the potential for empty shelves, we need to understand how global trade works. It's not as simple as goods being shipped directly from China to your local store. Instead, it involves complex supply chains that crisscross the globe. These supply chains are like intricate networks of interconnected businesses, each playing a crucial role in getting products from raw materials to finished goods and finally into the hands of consumers. When one link in this chain is disrupted, the entire system feels the strain. And that's exactly what's happening with the tariffs on Chinese goods. These tariffs are like speed bumps in the global supply chain, slowing down the flow of goods and driving up costs at every stage. The tariffs are creating uncertainty and chaos in the global market. Businesses are hesitant to make long-term plans, unsure of what the future holds. This uncertainty translates into delays, shortages, and ultimately, higher prices for consumers. The impact of the trade war is already being felt at America's ports, the gateways for much of the nation's imports. The Port of Los Angeles, the busiest container port in the United States, is seeing a dramatic decline in import volumes. Scheduled imports for the week ending May 3rd plummeted by a staggering 38.53% compared to the previous week. This decline isn't just a blip, it's part of a larger trend. Year over year, imports for the same week are down 9.79%, and projections for the following week show an even steeper decline of roughly 35%. The situation is mirrored across the country, with other major ports reporting similar drops in import traffic. This decline in imports is like a canary in the coal mine, signaling a looming crisis in the American retail sector. Section 5, Trump's gamble, tariffs and talks. President Trump's trade war with China is a high-stakes gamble, and it's unclear if he can secure a winning hand. On the one hand, he's imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, hoping to force China to make concessions on trade. This aggressive approach has rattled markets and sparked fears of a global trade war. On the other hand, Trump has also hinted at the possibility of a deal with China, suggesting that tariffs could be reduced if a fair deal is reached. This mixed messaging has created uncertainty and volatility in the markets. Investors are left wondering whether Trump is bluffing or genuinely seeking a negotiated solution. The stock market, known for its sensitivity to trade tensions, has reacted with a mix of optimism and anxiety, experiencing both surges and dips in response to Trump's pronouncements. While the trade war is playing out on the global stage, its consequences are hitting close to home for everyday Americans. The most immediate and tangible impact is rising prices. Tariffs, essentially taxes on imported goods, are passed down from importers to retailers and ultimately to consumers in the form of higher prices. This means that everything from clothing and electronics to groceries and building materials is becoming more expensive. This increase in prices, coupled with stagnant wages for many Americans, is putting a strain on household budgets. Families are forced to make difficult choices, cutting back on essentials or dipping into savings to make ends meet. The potential for empty shelves and soaring prices paints a bleak picture, but is there a way out of this trade quagmire? The short answer is yes, but it requires a delicate balancing act of negotiation, compromise, and a willingness to find common ground. The first step is to de-escalate the tension. Both the United States and China need to step back from the brink of a full-blown trade war. This means easing up on tariffs and engaging in meaningful dialogue to address the underlying trade imbalances. Finding a solution won't be easy. It requires both sides to acknowledge each other's concerns and be willing to make concessions. It also requires a long-term perspective, recognizing that a mutually beneficial trade relationship is in the best interest of both countries. While the prospect of a trade deal with China offers a glimmer of hope, it's essential to temper expectations. Reaching a comprehensive agreement that addresses the Trump administration's concerns about China's trade practices is a formidable task. The Trump administration has set its sights on fundamentally reshaping the US-China trade relationship. They're demanding that China reduce its trade surplus with the United States, open up its markets to American companies, and address concerns about intellectual property theft. These are complex issues with deep roots, and they won't be resolved overnight. China is unlikely to cave to US pressure without significant concessions in return. Any deal will require a give and take from both sides. The trade war with China has cast a long shadow over the American economy, and its ultimate impact remains uncertain. Will we see empty shelves in our stores? Will prices continue to rise, squeezing household budgets? The answers to these questions depend on the decisions made in the coming weeks and months. One thing is certain, the stakes are high. The trade war has the potential to disrupt global supply chains, stifle economic growth and fuel inflation. It's a gamble with potentially dire consequences for American consumers, businesses, and the economy as a whole. The future of America's shopping cart, a symbol of our consumer culture and economic well-being, hangs in the balance.